Debbie's own son just looked Mido dead in the eye and asked him the one question Mido has spent an entire season refusing to answer. Not from Debbie, not from her friends, from her son. And what Mido reportedly said back is the kind of answer that tells you everything you need to know about this wedding that is now less than 24 hours away. We are getting into every second of it. But first, you need to understand exactly how we got to this moment, because this has been building since the day this man landed in New Orleans. And once you see the full pattern laid out, you are going to understand exactly why this one confrontation hit as hard as it did. Okay, so if you have not been following the Debby and Mido saga this season, buckle up, because I am about to catch you all the way up. And if you have been following it, stay with me anyway, because the context matters more than ever right now. By the end of this video, I am going to walk you through exactly what happened when Caden finally showed up and said the quiet part out loud. I am going to break down why his timing was almost too perfect, and I am going to tell you what it means for a wedding that, according to the latest previews, is happening in the very next episode. There is a lot here, so let's talk about it. Let's start from the beginning, because you cannot understand why this confrontation hit as hard as it did without understanding the full shape of this relationship. Mido is 41 years old. He is an actor from Egypt, and he moved to New Orleans this season to be with Debby, who is 55. On paper, that is a beautiful story. A man crosses an ocean for love. Except almost from day one, the story that Mido has actually been telling, on camera, in his own confessionals, is a different one. He has said more than once that he does not want to take a regular job in the United States because working a normal job would pull his focus away from acting. His plan, by his own admission, has been for Debby to support him financially while he chases Hollywood, not while he builds a life with her, while he chases Hollywood. Those are two very different plans, and only one of them was ever actually about Debby. And honestly, if you rewind and listen closely to how he talks about his dream versus how he talks about her, you can hear the difference in his tone. The dream gets passion. The relationship gets logistics. And look, wanting to pursue a dream is not a crime. People change countries and change careers all the time. But you have to watch how someone treats the people around that dream, because that is where you actually learn who they are. And this season, the answer has not been pretty. Remember the Halloween episode? Debby wanted Mido to finally meet her closest friends. This was supposed to be a fun night, dressed up, laughing, the kind of night that builds real trust between a partner and the people who matter most to you. Instead, Mido refused to even go inside the bar where her friends were waiting. He sat outside being cold and distant, and when Debby got upset about it, he did not comfort her. He shut her down completely. The night ended with Mido cursing at her, producers physically stepping in to defuse things, and Debby driving off and leaving him standing on the curb by himself. That was not a bad night. That was a pattern showing up in broad daylight, in front of witnesses. He did not accidentally ruin the evening. He removed Debby from the one group of people who could tell her the truth about him. And then, when her friend Astra tried to step in and defend her, he got into a shouting match with her too. That is not a man who is shy in social settings. That is a man actively pushing away anyone who might see him clearly. So keep that isolation pattern in your back pocket, because it comes back. Now let's talk about the flight, because this is where the pattern really starts to reveal itself as intentional rather than accidental. Early this season, before Mido even landed in the United States, he texted Debby that he might not get on the plane at all. She panicked, obviously, because her entire relationship and his entire visa timeline were hanging on that flight. Hours went by. She did not know if he was coming, if the relationship was over, if she had just wasted months building a future around someone who was about to disappear. Then he showed up hours late and told her it was a joke. Funny to him. Not funny to the woman who spent hours believing her relationship was over before it even started in person. And here is where it gets really uncomfortable, because that was not a one-time thing. Fast forward to the chapel episode. Debby, hoping to nudge things toward marriage, surprises Mido with a tour of a wedding venue she had already booked. And instead of being moved by that gesture, Mido tells her on camera that he thinks it is time for him to go home, back to Egypt, with weeks left on his visa. Debby unravels. She is sobbing, she is on the floor, she is telling the cameraman to leave her alone. And Mido lets that go on. He lets her believe it is really over. He does not rush to comfort her or clarify. He lets the moment breathe for as long as he wants it to breathe. And then, only after she is fully broken down, he asks her to turn around, and he is on one knee with a ring. In his own confessional, he reportedly explained that he staged it that way specifically so Debby would not feel like she had the upper hand by surprising him first. Read that again. He manufactured her worst fear on purpose, let it run as long as he wanted, and then resolved it on his own schedule, for his own ego. That is not romance. That is control wearing a tuxedo. And it is worth saying out loud that a genuinely secure partner does not need to make you cry before he lets you feel loved. Fans did not miss it either. The reaction across social media was swift, and words like manipulative and cruel showed up constantly in the comments. One widely shared take called it flatly the most twisted proposal the franchise has produced. And honestly, after watching it play out, it is hard to argue with that. And here is the detail that makes it worse. This was not even the first time he pulled a version of this move. The flight joke and the chapel breakup are the exact same lever, pulled twice, months apart. Manufacture her deepest fear. Let it run. Resolve it on his terms. Call it a joke or a grand gesture afterward. A person who does that once might be having an off day. A person who does it twice, using the same exact fear both times, has found a tool that works on her and has decided to keep using it. So that is the man Debby said yes to. Twice now, he has taken her deepest fear of losing him, weaponized it, and handed it back to her wrapped as a joke or a grand romantic gesture. And it is not only about the proposal. Remember the acting workshop earlier in the season, where his coach asked him to follow simple directions during an exercise? He defied the instructions anyway and walked away with a low grade. His response to that criticism was not reflection, it was defiance, insisting nobody could stop him from chasing his dream. A 41-year-old man who cannot take basic direction in a beginner acting class and who responds to any critique with that level of certainty is not someone who handles being challenged well. File that away too, because it becomes very relevant to what happens with Kaden. Which brings us to the days right before the wedding, because this is where Debby's own support system starts sounding the alarm, loudly and directly, one final time. Debby sits down with her close friends Laura and Astra, the same friends from that disastrous Halloween night, and tells them the wedding is happening tomorrow. Their reaction is not excitement, it is a concern, and you can see it land on their faces the second she says it. They remind her they still barely know Mido as a person, and they ask her point blank whether he still yells at her, whether he still tells her to shut her mouth like he did that night. Debby insists things are better, admits it is not exactly sunshine and roses, but tells them Mido is her person. Astra tells her, gently but firmly, that this is basically her last chance to change her mind if she wants to, and that she does not technically have to go through with it just because it is already planned. Debby does not want to hear it. Not 12 hours before her wedding. Not after months of hearing the same warning on repeat from the same two people who love her enough to keep saying it, even when it is unwelcome. And if her friends raising red flags one day before the wedding was not enough, here comes the second gut punch. And this one hits even closer to home. Debby's son Caden messages her saying he might not make it to the wedding at all because of a work shift. And for Debby, this is not a small inconvenience. This is devastating. She has said on camera that she would not get married without her son there, that he is her whole world. And in the moment, she starts to wonder out loud whether the work shift is even the real reason he might not show up. Whether deep down, her own son simply does not approve of Mido, and this is the only way he knows how to say it without saying it directly to her face. Because here is the thing about Kaden that matters for what happens next. He has not been loud about his opinion of Mido all season. He has not staged a confrontation. He has not lectured his mother. He has mostly just watched from a distance, which is exactly why, when he finally does speak up, it lands so differently than another warning from her friends would. So picture where we are right now, less than a day before the wedding. Her friends have just told her, essentially, that it is not too late to walk away. Her son might not even show up at all. And the man she is marrying has spent the entire season demonstrating over and over that he will manufacture her pain when it benefits him, dodge direction and criticism the moment anyone challenges him, and disappear emotionally the second the conversation gets uncomfortable. And then Caden shows up anyway. This is the moment everyone is talking about, and I want to slow all the way down here because this is the one confrontation this entire season has been building toward without anyone quite saying it out loud. Caden does come to the wedding preparations after all, but he does not just show up, hug everyone, and smile for the cameras. According to early reactions and recaps of the newest episode, Caden sits down with Mido directly and starts asking the questions nobody else in Debby's circle has had the nerve to ask him to his face. What happens if the acting career does not work out? What the actual backup plan is? What Mido is going to do for this family if Hollywood never comes through the way he keeps promising it will? Think about how loaded that question really is. This is not some stranger being nosy at a family gathering. This is the son of the woman Mido is about to marry, asking the one thing Mido has avoided answering all season, because the honest answer would expose the entire foundation of this relationship. Every red flag we just walked through, refusing outside work, isolating Debby from her friends, manufacturing her worst fears for a reaction, defying basic direction and calling it dedication, all of it traces back to one root problem. Mido came to this country with a plan, and the plan was never really about Debby. It was about him. Caden, without maybe even fully realizing it, just walked straight up to that root and pulled on it, in person, days before the wedding, in front of the cameras, with nowhere for Mido to hide. And based on how Mido has responded to every other moment of pushback this season, from his acting coach's blunt criticism to his talent agent telling him to work on his English before he is ready for real roles, we already know his default setting is not humility. It is defensiveness. It is doubling down and insisting nobody can stop him. Early reactions describe Caden as unimpressed, not just with Mido's answers, but with his jokes, which tells you Mido may have tried to deflect a serious adult question about supporting a family with humor instead of actually answering it honestly. If that is true, that alone tells you something important. When a man cannot give a straight answer to his future stepson about how he plans to provide and show up for a family, that is not nerves. That is not a language barrier. That is a man who does not have an answer because he never actually built one. He built a dream. He never built a plan. Here is my honest take, and I want to say this clearly. Caden did what none of the adults in this story have managed to do all season. He said the thing everyone else has been dancing around. Not Debby, who is too invested and too scared of losing Mido to fully see it clearly from the inside. Not the friends, who have raised the flag gently, respectfully, and gotten brushed off every single time. Caden did not soften it. He did not wrap it in a joke or a compliment sandwich. He just asked the question, directly, to the man's face, at the worst possible moment for Mido to have to answer it, with the wedding practically already underway. And whether or not Mido gave him a real, satisfying answer in that moment, the fact that he had to sit there and be asked, in front of everyone, days before his own wedding, by the person whose approval probably mattered most in that room, says a lot on its own. So where does this leave us? Because according to the newest previews, this wedding is happening in the very next episode. Not called off, not postponed, happening. Which means Debby is walking into this marriage having heard within the same 48 hours her closest friends tell her it is not too late to walk away, and her own son grill her fiancé about whether he even has a plan for their shared future. And she is doing it anyway. Ring on her finger, dress already chosen, guests already invited. I am not going to sit here and pretend I know what is actually in Debby's heart, because only she knows that. And reducing her choice to something simple would honestly be a little unfair to her. Only she knows that. But from the outside looking in, this is what it looks like when someone has heard every warning available to them from the people who know them best and chosen to move forward regardless. Maybe she truly believes Mido will step up once the pressure of the show is gone and they are just living an ordinary life together. Maybe she just cannot bear the alternative of starting over again at this stage of her life. Either way, we are about to watch it play out in real time, on camera for all of us. And if this season has taught us anything, it is that Mido does not suddenly change his stripes once the cameras start rolling on a happier day. Patterns built over an entire season do not disappear overnight because there is a cake and some flowers involved. So here's my question for you, and I actually want your honest answer in the comments, not just a reaction emoji. Do you think Caden's confrontation changes anything for Debby, Even a little? Even quietly in the back of her mind? Or has she already made up her mind no matter what anyone in her life says to her at this point? And separately, tell me straight, is Mido a genuine work in progress who just communicates badly and comes from a different culture around emotional expression? Or is he running a playbook, and Debby is simply the person it is currently working on? I have my opinion. You already know what it is after watching this whole breakdown with me. But I want to hear yours, because this fandom has been split on Mido since episode 1, and I think this moment with Caden might actually be the thing that changes some minds either way. And if you think this was intense, wait until the wedding episode, because based on everything we just walked through, this is not shaping up to be a clean, easy yes. There is too much unresolved tension sitting underneath that veil for this to go smoothly. I will be right back here breaking that one down the second it airs, so make sure you are subscribed and you have got your notifications turned on, because you do not want to miss it, and you definitely do not want to be scrolling through spoilers before you get to hear the full breakdown. Drop your prediction below before that episode drops. Do you think this wedding actually happens the way Debby is hoping it will? Or is there one more twist coming before anyone says I do? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.